XCOM, and it took a while to get the formula right. And then for us, on top of that experiment, we also were working on the narrative, the plot, and get everything to sing together. So it was funny, thought that the game got canceled. Glad it didn't, because I've been very cold in the Bay Area. But I think now that we're so close to coming out, we're ready to show the world how it's all come together. And hopefully people can get excited about where we're taking the franchise.
Awesome. So what we're looking at here is the first gameplay, I guess, of the Bureau XCOM Declassified. You guys have had a couple of sizzle trailers in the past, kind of 3 weeks. There's been 3 different ones. This is the first time anyone's seeing it. Visually, it looks quite similar to what you guys had back in 2010. What are the sort of main differences? Because I have a feeling that people kind of have that in the back of their head as this is what this game looks like. So
totally.
What are we talking about?
Well, we'll talk some similarities. So we're telling the origin story of the XCOM franchise. For the first time ever, you're going to be there the day that XCOM itself was founded. We take place back in 1962, which is where some of the art style feels familiar. Previously, we were playing in the 50s, but we like the 60s. One, because it's right there, the space race, right? NASA going to the moon. What a great backdrop to tell an alien story. Cold War, exactly. The tension between the United States, USSR, missiles pointed everywhere. Everyone's thinking that it's about to go nuclear right here in our world, and then have extraterrestrials attack. So you play as William Carter, him and his squad of XCOM agents, a squad that he's recruited, customized, leveled up for various levels at this point, are here in Pima, New Mexico, trying to make contact with another XCOM operative. The idea here, again, is to take that turn-based sort of strategic sandbox tactical gameplay of the classic XCOM formula and give it that immersion of you being a battlefield commander with your feet on the ground, where the bullets are flying. So as Carter proceeds down the street of Pima, New Mexico, we're going to get to the heart of what I think is the coolest thing of our experiment, this focus on real-time tactical combat. So you can see we have some familiar enemies. We have sectoids that were actually enslaved by one of our primary alien races. We have the menagerie of aliens in our gameplay. And Carter here has brought up battle focus. Now this is a tactical interface in which you can give real-time, albeit a little slowed down, to sort of capture the tension of battle commands to your agents. You're able to do such maneuvers as forcing flanks on your agents, prioritizing targets, and unleashing the various powers and abilities that they have. Our goal here, if you're an old school sort of gamer or an old-time nerd, is to find that difference, to use aliens as an example, between being Gorman back in the APC, watching the action through monitors, safe and sound, and Hicks out there where the bullets are flying, where all the danger is.
This is a lot more strategic than I think a lot of people have been expecting. Like, it's actually quite refreshing and interesting to see this, because it's been I guess I was expecting a first-person shooter, which is no bad thing if it's done uniquely. But you guys seem pretty heavy on the strategy stuff. Is that paused or is that slowed down?
It's slowed down. We're trying to simulate the sort of dilation of time that a commander feels in the battlefield, but it's still very much real time. You can get killed in that mode. Your agents can drop. We want to keep the tension up. I like that you find it refreshing. Obviously, we saw a lot of sort of misunderstanding of what we're doing. People going, oh, it's just a shooter with XCOM on it. But again, our charter was to find tactical squad combat control. What I've said, talk with the team, and one of our things we would say is what we're basically doing is squad versus squad combat. But versus Delta Force versus Spetsnaz, it's XCOM versus aliens. So we treat things for good, for keeps. We treat them very realistically. Flanking is a key component, getting that tactical advantage of the battlefield, and really utilizing your squad in an intelligent, smart manner as a key for success versus just Rambo run and gun.
So just to let people know if they have any questions, and I'm sure they will at this stage, to tweet me at Danny O'Dwyer. So I'll log into my Twitter again, and I'll be sure to pass those questions on to Morgan. I've got more than a few myself though. At the moment, so your Carter, the character you're playing, he's the commander of these troops. Can you take control over those? And if not, what happens if you die as Carter? Is it mission over? Or?
Yep. When you die as Carter, it's definitely mission over. And we're not trying to sort of diminish the experience of being a squad leader by letting you jump in. Now your agents are autonomous, so autonomously, pretty smart. They're capable of defending themselves, relocating, dodging grenades. But it's up to you and the decisions you make, the tactics that you use, to forge them into an actual team.
Okay.
And it's the coordinated tactics that are going to be critical for success. Again, I just cannot stress how much of this game is trying to emulate the smart, coordinated strikes of a tightly coordinated team, beating what is always going to be a numerically and technologically superior force. So you can kind of even see, remove aliens from your minor, don't, because aliens are XCOM and they're awesome. You're seeing leapfrog tactics. You're seeing them stack up on the flanks, using diversionary powers to sort of pull aggro from enemies, opening up opportunities to press forward. You can also see through this interface, you're getting that classic XCOM information feed. Lines of sight, threats, where you're visible, where you're vulnerable, target probabilities based on where you're positioned in the battlefield. All these are data points, the sort of information we're giving you, the commander, so that you can sort of grok this layout, observe the layout of the enemies, observe what the battlefield can do for you, then use it all in sort of your tool chest to come up with a solution for the problem.
In a weird way, this is kind of reminding me of that era where we had games like Tom Clancy's Rogue Spear and Rainbow Six and stuff, where they were kind of, you had a squad of people, and then in an instance you'd have maybe 2 or 3 enemies, and you basically had to ensure that by the time that exchange was finished, that your guys were okay, those guys were dead, and you'd use as little of your resources as possible.
No, those games were inspirations. I mean, the old Clancy games for sure, classic Rainbow, even some like going for some people way back to like Full Spectrum Warrior on Xbox One.
Is that way back?
Well, it's not way back for me, but I think it's way back for a few. Like, it still seems kind of recent, right?
We're not that old.
Well, we're not that. I'm old enough where I got the demo on a floppy disk for the first XCOM, and XCOM has never left any of my PCs since that point.
You're lucky. I had it on Amiga 600 and it was 12 discs.
Oh yeah, that's a tough one. There's a few guys on our team that actually played it on PS1, which I think is cool. I'm like, wow, that's awesome.
I didn't even know that was out until a couple of years ago.
Yeah. But yeah, those sort of military squad versus squad games, the emphasis on tactics, were all things that we drew a lot of inspiration from, and then try to find that expression of that classic XCOM DNA, putting it forward in the bureau over here.
So in terms of the chronology of the series, this I guess would take place before absolutely anything.
It's the first tale of XCOM, and so what we wanted to do was basically take that Cold War backdrop, take that setting, and say what it would have been like if we had an organization that was dedicated to defending America against a foreign threat, i.e. the Soviet Russia, and we expanded our concept of what foreign meant to mean people that didn't come from our planet. And so this bureau rechristens itself XCOM. You were literally there the day XCOM is founded, and part of the reason why. And we want, I think as an XCOM fan, generally not known for its narrative, there's something very cool about witnessing that story unfold and being part of that. While at the same time, being out there in the early fights, like, using 1960s technology when we start off to face the enemies. Now, previously saw here something, where we went into an upgrade screen. The cool thing about Carter and his agents is as you fight and gain experience points, you're going to be able to rank up and customize both him and his agents with new powers and abilities.
Can agents die, and then is there permadeath for those
Oh yes,
guys,
when an agent drops, he's gone for good.
Oh man, you guys are sticking nice to the tough parts of XCOM.
No, everyone's ready for games. Like, it's not, what I like to say is it's not just difficulty, it's like skillful play. And the cool thing about XCOM as a franchise is it's a game that demands and rewards skillful play.